And wearing the headphones isn't going to make it if I talk more into the thing or not.
No, I agree. But what happened to me before?
I'm still better than Chip.
What happened to What happened
Not
to me,
as good as Joe, but better than Chip.
Reminds me, I got to tell you something. And that's where before I wouldn't listen. And so then it's like we could record the whole thing, and I'd be like, oh, that was awesome. Then I'd go to listen, and it would be Joe or somebody or you or whatever would be way back here, and I'm like, what's going on? I can't hear it. I wish I could have, So anyway, that's my thing. But anyway, Chip.
We should set them up like Lemmy. You know how they're like the bottom of it or the back of it is facing down, whereas like Motorhead, like they had them like where they are up high and the back of the microphone was like pointing up towards the ceiling.
Yeah.
And he would
but
like
then we have to sing.
Yeah.
We got to talk up so we're
Talk
not even
up like
looking
that.
at each other.
Maybe those are the back vocal cords that you normally can't use.
Ah, I see.
We'll
get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. Sean did listen to some of it. Well, I was worried. So Sean wanted to talk about North Korea, and which is funny because when I did the one with Joe, the last one I did with Joe, I go, so North Korea, right? And I just start in with that. And I was just making a joke like we were going to be all brainy and talk about shit. And then Joe's like, what? And I go, the South. And he goes, the South? Like South, south of the United States. And so then you were like, let's talk about North Korea. And I'm like, uh-oh, we're going to get like, hello, this is a non-funny podcast. Here we go. So
we are invading. If you're hearing this.
That's right. This
will come out in 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, we're in a bunker and we're trying to, But this thing with Chip, first of all, before I get into all my other stuff.
885 days.
Oh, awesome. That's cool. They have a little app for anyone who just joined. I don't think it's officially sponsored by AA, but it's called 12 Steps, and you put in the day that you start, and it'll tell you whatever. Tell you your anniversary.
Are you looking at? Can you see my stuff on my phone?
That's right, yeah. No, I just read 12 Steps. That's all I read.
God, you have like bionic vision from
See,
that from that thing you
from
fucking
that laser
did.
surgery
Jesus
that I
Christ.
had. Trust me.
I'm like, I can barely read it with my reading glasses on, and it's right.
Trust me, me and the wife, I couldn't read the little writing, but I read in big, like the size of my thumb. It said 12 and then steps, so I could read that.
It doesn't say steps on it.
On the
I'm thinking on the thumbnail of the app.
No.
It doesn't even say that.
No, when
you can read inside the app before the app's even open. Oh my God, that's gotta be able to make your money somewhere.
You're like upside down, and you know what it is without opening it. No, it was when it was open. But like I've told before on the podcast, I got a thing from a fortune cookie from P.F. Chang's, and I open it up, and I'm like, it says something about shitty. You'll have a shitty day, says something. And Danielle's like, what? And I go, I don't know. I don't have my glasses. Like, they're in the car. So she looks and she goes, it says already. Like, you'll have blah, blah, blah already. Like, not shitty. But, I saw the
shitty chicken. You want some shitty
And
pork?
I knew it didn't say shitty, but I could barely read it.
Right.
So trust me, if I can read 12 steps, I'm doing pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you were looking at the thumbnail on the phone. I'm like,
no.
wow.
No. And then, I don't know about yours. I know this will do no good for the podcast. But
people that are listening.
The
people that are watching on YouTube.
Some people laugh at me that's big for
That's
for
the same size I use.
Yeah, see, I've had to enlarge my Twitter, my text. And one day the guy's like, "Oh my God! Like, how old are you?"
Brandon at my work does that too. He's like, "Come on, old man," but
because
he hates
got
it
real small.
Yeah, Brandon at work, like the guy that I sit next to. Well, actually, I sit next to Brandon at what? We're both older, we're about the same age, and Brandon's like probably 10 years younger. So we keep making jokes about him being so young and a millennial and all this stuff, and he gets all pissed off. And he's like, just because I'm not fucking old like you guys. Like, whatever. Do you remember MTV when MTV played music?
Oh, my
stuff
God.
Stuff like that, or, different things.
Well, it's
God, I was in the gun store the other day, and because I got that trigger in for my SIG, which we've got to get into talking about SIG, but I brought it into Legendaries to have them put the trigger in, and the guy was saying something. He walked by. He was like, "It's like downtown Julie Brown." I was like, oh my God, not many people get that reference, do they? He's like, yeah, some of these young people are like, MTV, what are you talking about, Jersey Shore?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, when MTV actually played music.
Yeah. Well, that's like, we watched the movie Detroit. We went and saw that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like about when the, was it? Anyway, whatever it was, because MTV wasn't around during the civil rights, during the riots in Detroit, there was no MTV. But whatever it was, it had Kurt Loder on it, some movie that we were watching. And I was like, hey, that's Kurt Loder. I go, remember Kurt Loder? And she's like, oh yeah, I know what it was. It was Atomic Blonde, I think. And it had Kurt, because it was 89.
Oh, okay.
And so it shared Kurt Loder. I'm like, hey, that's Kurt Loder. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, somebody from, I think it was Kurt Loder, somebody from MTV married one of the other people from MTV. There was like one of those stupid clickbait videos like, where are your favorite VJs now? And blah, blah, blah. And
fucking each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so something with Chip that I want to get at.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not picking on him. I'm just being realistic like you and I are. I know you will, but, we try to be friendly here in the podcast. He's on the podcast. We're all on the podcast. Anyway, I know you don't care. So
I'm waiting to get that shirt. I almost got that shirt off of Amazon, but it bleeped out fuck instead of spelling out fuck.
You should go. But if you go to Spencer's, they have like buy one, get one half off or whatever. So you can get probably maybe a better deal, but maybe the same on Amazon. It was a shirt, I forget, but it said
I'm not always a dick.
Yeah.
Yes,
but fuck everybody.
No. Yeah, it's I'm not always a dick. Just kidding. Fuck off.
Yeah. But so Chip does artwork. He does drawings and stuff like he has been, but now he's changing his style, and so his idea now, which I've told him before, he wanted to do a Patreon thing, and so I told him, I said, well, you need to here, I'll show you this, but whoops. Sorry about that. I forgot that there was audio on that. Ay. Stop it. And anyway.
It's not a dog. Phil's talking to his iPhone.
Okay.
Like,
but
Siri, stop it.
So anyway, he's doing like time-lapse like drawings. Okay. So when I had told him, I said that would be cool. And he wanted to start Patreon. And his new characters are going to look like that instead of like a regular comic book superhero type thing.
Okay.
So like a little boy like that. So
with evil eyes?
Yeah. He's like a kind of a demented child with powers. Kind of like Green Lantern, but he's got his imagination makes whatever. So Chip was like, I want to start Patreon. And he told me, he goes, you should get into Patreon. And I said, look, everybody listens to my show for free. Nobody's going to get on Patreon and send me money. Like if you heard on last podcast on Left, which we'll get into, they get $22,000 a month. Yeah,
from Patreon.
So I'm like,
There's
nobody,
a lot of YouTube creators and stuff like that are on Patreon and stuff.
I'm like, nobody's gonna give me money to do that, but I'll do it.
Down the road, you might.
Yeah, but I'm like, I'll do it for shits and giggles, fine. So I put a Patreon thing up there for $1. You contribute $1, you'll get a special show early, but then also you can choose the topic or whatever stuff like that. For $25, you could be my co-host. Either
cool.
we'll Skype it or whatever. And or if you live here, I can meet you somewhere in the middle and we'll do a show. So every time I check it, Chip will be like I checked it a couple times, but I knew nothing, so I don't check it. Right. So then Chip will be like, so how's your Patreon? You check it? And I'm like, yeah, I'll bet you $50 that it says 0.
Right.
So then I'll go check it. Yeah,
you
would
think
0.
you'd have an alert.
So
I would think so. As soon as it would be like, holy shit, people, my Patreon alert just went off.
So I'm like, okay, I got 0 still.
See, now I wish I had a ton of money. I would go onto Patreon and find the most ridiculous things and and like get them. I'd be like, yes, I want to do your podcast and be your co-host for $25.
Yeah. And then
the ones like, you can be my date to prom. Like, great, yes, I want to be your date to prom.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what happens on prom night.
That's right. And that guy's all like, dude, what are you doing?
Huh?
You're like saying you're not dating a woman.
Oh,
You're
okay.
Even the men, like
Okay,
you're
yeah,
even
whatever. It
telling me,
doesn't
yeah,
matter.
you're like, you
Gas,
know what
grass,
happens
or
on
ass.
prom night, and this little 18-year-old is like, but wait, man, my voice
Quack.
hasn't changed. You're
Quack
like,
like
I'll
a
make
duck.
your voice change. Fucking take that all in your asshole. And then they got a prolapse anus, like Sergio and I talked about.
Yes.
So Chip wants to start Patreon, where he draws and people can buy the drawings. You know,
can't
they can
say what, like, it'd be like if I could tell him what I want him to draw and he draws it for me.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
Yeah. So,
You know.
so I'm like, well, that's cool. And he's like, then somebody could either, you get it and you can put on your background. You can either commission something from him and he'll do it, or as a patron on there, you would get like a special drawing of him a month if you pay so much money. And he would draw one thing and send it to everybody and they could use it. And at first he was doing comic book stuff. And I said, I go, Chip, not to be a dick, but if I want a picture of Batman, I'm not going to have some guy from Colorado draw me a picture of Batman. I'm going to just go online, find Frank Miller drawing Batman, and just download that and put that up on my wall or on my computer.
Right.
And I said, so it'd have to be special. Like if you could do, you know, Batman, you know, choking my mother, then that'd be cool, you know. But then he's got to have the rights to
But your
Batman,
mother's
like
already
that whole
dead.
thing. Yeah, exactly.
I
Well,
know,
he
but this would
choked
be
the
my
urn.
origin story.
Like just have him holding the urn, just dumping it out on the
okay.
Joker's face. Let me write that down.
Yeah.
So
with like this orgasmic look on his face, like,
yeah,
oh.
that's right. Just so he said. So he goes, no, I get it. And then he was watching this other guy who does like children. He draws like superheroes, but like his children or something, and just really cool little artwork. So I looked that guy up, and I was like, this guy's like really good. Chip's thing is like he likes that, and he wants to do like a variation of that between his and this guy's, but also like he said he can do it faster and draw faster with that instead of drawing all the detail and the muscles and everything anatomically correct. You can just kind of draw it quicker. So he said, want to get on Patreon, and he said, so now his wife told him, shit or get off the pot. Like she kept telling him like, okay, cool, that's a good idea. And then every time like she's finding now like, okay, you need to draw because you're drawing, but you're not putting anything up. The Patreon page hasn't even started yet. Like you could do videos, you could do everything. And then I had told him like, I said, you know, you need to do like a time lapse, but like that, like starts with white and then you draw everything. So he started doing that. And then I said, but so now I'm like, well, you need to, I know I'm boring you. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make it fast. So I go, Sean's falling asleep. So I said, you need to start putting the shit up. And then he told me, he goes, yeah, my wife asked me what his goal was. And he said, my goal is to leave Walmart and go, you know, work for himself. Like just have that. And he's like, so if I,
so, and I just want this to happen overnight.
So,
and not put any, I have a great analogy to add to this when you get done to remind me to bring up my Abby analogy.
So I told him, I said, I had told him before, I said, me and Sean talked about this. And I said, and I've told you, I said, it's very difficult for you to not focus on, but have, like, this is going to bring in money. I said, I do my podcast. I said, maybe 12 to 15 people download the show. And I go, and before I used to be like, man, I wish, you know, and I said, some of my shows, I'm like, these are really funny. Like, I wish you add more. But I said, then if I had 100, I'd be going, oh, I wish it was more than 100, you know.
Right.
So I said, but I just have fun doing it. Right. So I said,
like we said before, it's a way that we get together.
Yeah.
It's almost like an excuse that we have to be able to get together, and we can catch up and that kind of stuff.
And he said, and so yesterday he was telling me, he goes, well, because I've been pushing him now. I said, okay, you told me this on Friday that your wife said shit or get off the pot. So you have till Friday to get your Patreon going, your video, your YouTube. Like, let's go. So, because I'm all for
upcoming Friday or last Friday?
This coming Friday.
Okay.
So I'm all for him to do that. So then he goes, yeah, this guy on either
I did a lot of research on it. I watched a whole bunch of videos on how to get successful on Patreon.
How to start it.
On how to start it. Like, I'm an expert at starting it. And I know I do the exact same thing that he does. So anyway, go ahead.
Well, and so he said there was this one guy that's on YouTube that promotes, Loot Crate. And he said, and for every person that watches a video, you get $1. And he said 20,000 people watch the video, so he gets $20,000. I said, Chip, allow me to be realistic now. However that works, I have no idea. So I jumped to this. I said, here's the thing, Chip. I said, I started my YouTube channel. I said, I have maybe 9, maybe 10 views, sometimes 15. I said, and 6 subscribers. And 3 of them are my friends. 1 of them is myself. And 2 of them are, some people who've actually subscribed. And I'm like, okay, cool. But
well, just like those people that have 1 million subscribers, why don't they have 1 million views per video?
Exactly.
Not everybody. Some people just go on and like, oh, what? He told me to subscribe and do that, so I did.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah, or they just don't watch the video.
Right.
Yeah, they just subscribe and then they never go back to watch the videos.
That's got to be at least a third of the people, if not tremendously more.
Yeah. So he was like, if I got like that money, and then he goes, and then YouTube was also paying. He said, my wife said, if those are both paying you, and she said we'd give it 3 months.
Could go out and let's put a down payment down on a house.
Yeah.
And let's put all of our eggs into one basket and let's buy some property.
Yeah.
And because we got this YouTube, the bank is bound to give us a loan if we got this YouTube Patreon.
Yeah. What do you do? I'm a YouTuber.
I'm a YouTube Patreon.
And I told him, I said, he said, so they'd give it 3 months. His wife said, we'd give it 3 months after, if it started bringing in money, to make sure the money's still coming in and doesn't fall off like with Patreon. Then if it did, then you could quit your job at Walmart if you were making. And I said, well, I go, there's 2 things. Like, we were talking about making videos, and I was telling him different ideas of how to make a video. And I said, but the trick is, like, that takes a lot of money to put up.
Well,
not money. I'm sorry. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
I said, if you want to edit, I said I had to teach myself to edit.
Those YouTube people are like, they're like, it's one thing when you do Twitch, because you do Twitch and you're just live.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're doing content, and I've watched all the video game stuff, when you're doing YouTube content, you have to have a script. You have to sound like you know what you're doing. Some people can get away with it. Most people have to have a script. They have to get all this footage. They have to edit it all together so that it looks right and all this stuff. And they're like, some of the stuff that these people, if they're putting out, a video a day or, 5 videos a week, they're working like 80 hours, a week or more.
Yeah.
Granted, some of it's playing video games to get the footage, but it's not, it's not all fun and games. It's, you're putting in a lot of behind the scenes work.
And I told him, like I've told you before, I said when I started the podcast, I said it used to take me like, say, 3-4 hours to edit, do I'd spend an hour doing the podcast. I'd spend 2 hours editing it or whatever and then putting it up, and it took a long time. I said now it's gotten down to where I can kind of edit quick. I can listen to it, while I'm doing whatever and write everything down and everything's good. I said, but you're going to have to learn to be faster, and it's going to take you a while. So not only is drawing taking you time, but now doing that's going to take time. So he's trying to, his wife now today was like, let's go paddleboarding. And he was like, honey, you just told me to focus on this. So now I'm trying to focus on it. And now you want to go paddleboarding, and then you want to go to see Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, because you haven't done anything.
Yeah.
With this. So now if you're not going to do anything with this, then let's do stuff as a couple.
Well, no, on his side was, so now last night he was really like, he buckled down and started doing shit. And now, on his days off. And now she's like, well, tomorrow we're going to go paddleboarding. And he's like, but wait, like, I'm confused. Like, you wanted me to do this. And I said, you need to pick a day. I said, like me, I tell Danielle, Sean's coming over on Monday. Okay, I say, can Sean come over to do a podcast? She goes, yeah, it's fine. So because, I'm a guy and I forget. So then
Right.
I'll be like, Sean's coming over, and she'll be like, we're going to the movie at, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know. So
She's like, you pick the movie and the time.
yeah, well, like like the other day I said, remember when we saw that movie, The Butler?
A long time
remember
ago.
this? And she's like,
She's like, it was
how come you
yesterday.
can't remember what I said to you to do certain things or remember things, but you can remember a movie that we saw 3 years ago, and you're like, oh, and you remember every scene. I said, well, I love movies, but I'll try to remember what you
But
say
I
next
hate
time.
you.
That's right. I didn't say that. So anyway, my thing with that was, so now, Chip is like wanting to focus on that and do the video, and kind of thinks he can just throw it all up there. And I said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. And like Danielle said, she goes, what if he does become like all of a sudden, I go, then that'd be great. I said, I'll be like, wow, awesome. I said, but my thing to him was, I said, I'm going to be realistic. I said,
everyone that, I listen to on those video game podcasts or anything like that, like I was watching the guy doing his Twitch talks where he talks about, like, if you're getting involved in Twitch and this and that, like they said, there's so many people out there that think they have to buy all this equipment to do stuff on Twitch. And they're like, you can go to eBay and find all this great equipment for cheap because people, they don't give it what they need. My Abby thing was, Nicholas plays hockey. Nicholas, and so Abby does martial arts now, and she's getting really good at it. But like Christine says that Abby will be like, oh, well, this thing is coming up in this tournament, and I don't know, and I'm not good enough. And Christine's like, well, you need to practice.
Yeah.
Not just when you go to your class 1 hour a week.
Yeah.
But you need to practice. Like, you need to practice all the time. And Abby doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And so Christine was like, she said something about Nicholas. Abby said something about Nicholas. And Christine goes, Abby, look at your brother. Or, like, she gets upset that they do all this stuff for Nicholas. And Jamie and Christine both were like, Abby, we will do the same things for you.
Yeah.
You can go to Taekwondo camp, you can do whatever. She's like, they're like, but you have to do the work. Yeah. You have to practice.
Well, and you don't know, is this, go ahead.
Right,
I'm
but
sorry.
they're like, they go, look at Nicholas. They're like, yes, Nicholas, it seems like he gets a lot of attention because he does this. And, it's like, but Nicholas gets to travel. Nicholas goes to Chicago, goes to Canada, all this stuff. But he's practicing.
Yeah.
Every single day he is at practice. He goes to goalie camp multiple times a year. Like, this kid sleeps and drinks hockey. Yeah. Like, he does everything. And because of that, he's good. And so then he is needed in, he's part of the team. Yeah, and he goes to the tournament. So he needs to travel to be able to do this. But he puts in the work and practices. It's not something that is just handed to him. He's not just, nobody is just a natural and just all of a sudden like, oh, we want you at this tournament and come out here. No. Yeah. He has to, I think he's at practice probably 5, if not 7 days a week.
Yeah, has to bust his ass. And he's how old? 8 or
12.
12 now.
And so like, you have to put in the work. Like these Twitch guys are like, it's lightning in a bottle. Yeah. They're like, you have to be consistent and be on there and stream every single day. Just like with YouTube, you have, if you're committed to doing, like the one guy, Mr. Fruit or whatever, he used to do, 3 videos a week, a video every other day. And then he was like, well, he was getting away from Destiny. So he was going to start putting up a video a day of just other stuff. He would still do his 3 a week Destiny videos. And then, but he's like, anytime I would put up anything that wasn't Destiny, like the comments would just tear him apart until he did it for long enough. Yeah. And it's like the people grow accustomed to you being on at 6 o'clock, and they know that they can count on you to be there at 6 o'clock, and they can count on your video to upload at such and such a time. They grow accustomed, and if you don't, it's the internet is a fickle kind of thing, and they'll run away in a heartbeat.
Well, and that's what I told him with. I said, like with the podcast, I said I ended up making a structured You know, okay, I got to put out every Wednesday or every other Wednesday. I said, so if something comes up where I can't put it out, then I said I end up putting up a rerun or something, or if I can't get with anybody. I said, but it's always Wednesday. And I said, and that is good for me because before I'd be like, I said, some days if I'm lazy, it might go. A couple times it's been put up on Friday. But I said, I really like that in myself. I feel like, oh, I miss Wednesday.
Right.
You know, I got to. So I said, you need that. Same thing with the training. Same thing with, you know, I bought, we were talking SIG. Now we can lead into that. With my gun, I bought SIG. Haven't shot a gun since like the late 90s.
Probably when you and I.
And
we'll get into the gun talk because I love telling this gun story.
So I go shooting, asked you if you want to go, whatever, and then I was like, I'm just going to go to Shooter's World. It's a place, they have them all over, but here in Phoenix they have Shooter's World. It's an indoor thing, costs $16 an hour, and you shoot.
Not sponsored.
And right, unless they want to. Then make all kinds of $20,000. So I go there. I ask the guy, like, "Hey man, I haven't been shooting for a while. I've never been to an indoor range. What do I need to do?" He's like,
"See,
blah,
that
blah,
is
blah.
awesome. I think that's awesome. Like,
yeah,
I'm all about the thing now. I'm like, I don't give a shit
like,
about my pride.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't want to look like an idiot and do something wrong.
Yeah.
And believe me, I'm sure that guy is probably like, thank God that the fucking dude just asked me.
Yeah.
You know?
So, and I was like, okay, so what do I need to do? He's like, fill out this paper and you put your number, and then he
like,
goes,
treat me like I'm an idiot.
Give me your ID. I give him the ID, and then we're talking about shoot. I was telling him how back in the day when I would shoot, I said I did it like in the movies, like teacup. You know, I held my hand under my fist and I would shoot that way. And I said, now I've learned that everybody's shooting this different way, and I've never shot that way. I've said I'm excited about doing that. And the guy said, you know, he goes, there's things online, you can look that up. I said, oh, I know, I've been doing that. He goes, but don't care what people say, stances, like all that. He goes, no, you just do whatever comes natural, feels better for you. He goes, it's each person's special thing. I go, exactly. So
like that guy at the Glock place told me, I was like, hey, I'm like, what do you think about this holster? He goes, whatever will make you carry more or whatever will make you shoot more.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference what anybody thinks about it. If you like a grip on a pistol, put it on there. If it makes you go out and shoot more and become a better shooter, then fucking go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I went and I was doing the stances, like, you know, I did the
What's
Weaver
your guy's
stance.
name?
Which guy?
The Patriot or poet.
Oh, Blaine.
No.
John Lovell.
John Lovell. I've been watching his videos.
Warrior poet.
He's very informative,
Yeah.
but I can't stand the fucking guy.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, I get a lot of information from him.
Yeah.
But
is it, do you think he's too cocky or
No,
just the way
too
he
effeminate.
be silly? Oh.
He's too feminine.
Really?
He's
That's
too,
weird. See,
I take
that's
him
what
as being very
see.
And I like it because
Yeah.
I trust it more.
Yeah.
But it's just something about it. Like,
That's
I like the guy. I like the guy. I watch his videos. I've even been like, wow, I really like that strap that he's using. I'm going to probably look at one of those. That's really good. Like, wow, he's got some really good information on this.
Yeah.
But the sound of his voice is like fucking fingernails on a chalkboard to me.
See, that's what I like about him is that he's not one of these
No, and that's what I like too, but it's the sound of his voice.
Yeah.
Not even the sound of his voice, but the sound of his voice coming out of his face.
Yeah.
Like if I watch,
because he got the beard and everything.
If I watch him, but I'm not watching it, I'm just listening to it. So much better.
Yeah.
But just the combination of his face and voice and stuff like that, it fucking irks me.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It just fucking irks me.
That's funny. But I'm glad that you're watching it because and I'll pick and choose on those just like I do with podcasts and stuff where I'll be like, you know, like he had whether to build or buy an AR-15. Like I didn't watch that one, but he had, you know, the thing about how to hold your gun and you know, different things. And so I was watching those. And
when he was like, he goes, I'm not, you know, some fucking 230-pound guy that fucking has all this muscle behind him to control the recoil. I've got to have my grip control the recoil and stuff. And like I said, the stuff that he says fucking makes sense.
Well, and he trains. You know, he teaches.
Military.
And
He's military background
special forces,
and
whatever. but yeah, so when I went to go shooting, so I did Weaver stance and I did isosceles, which is just standing straight. And I tried that, and then I tried, one guy on YouTube said that he puts, that guy that's a quick draw, the old guy does quick draw stuff.
Jerry Michalak.
Yeah. He said, he goes, I put some skater tape on the front of my trigger guard, and I hold my finger there when I shoot. And he goes, and that gives me a little more stability. And then Hickok 45 was like, never put your finger here. Like, that's stupid. And I'm like, okay. So I tried it 2 different ways. And I was just trying that and trying everything. And then what was funny when you were like, well, you got everything in the target when I sent you a picture of silhouette. And it was like, well, yeah, that was because I only bought 2 targets, and I was just like, okay, where's the blank spot now? And then I would aim for the blank
fine.
spot.
But you were still getting it in. You know, you weren't fucking hitting way outside of the thing, thinking, oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
There's time, and that's the thing. Like I saw that, and I'm like, yeah, I want to go to Shooter's World and do this because going out to the desert, you're like, I'm going to shoot at that rock.
Yeah.
You don't know where you hit.
Yeah.
The distances, wherever you can fucking stand that you don't have other people around you. And, that there's nothing controlled about it.
Well, and like you and I used to do is just like, we got this jug of Gatorade. We put Gatorade into a big water jug. So now it's a 1-gallon jug that we're shooting at. We shoot once, the thing explodes. You're like, I got on target.
Well, and it doesn't
it's
even.
like,
we would think that it would be like this cool movie explosion, and it's like, okay, what? Did I hit it? It seemed like it moved.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look, it's got a hole in it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, it's bullets don't act the way they do on TV.
Well, and that's what, like I said, which is good. Next time I go, I'm gonna have more targets, and so and then also, like, I sent you that thing about the ammo was like so much money. So I went in with McAfee on 1,000 rounds. So I'm gonna get 500. My wife goes, okay, this is all you're spending now for a while because she bought me that gun for my birthday. So that was like a $600 gun, and then this ammo for 500 is gonna be $80. So it's like, okay. So now, but the good thing with that is when you add up how much it cost to go shooting, it wasn't much, but it was 16 plus the 2 boxes of ammo I bought. So that was $22 or $21, whatever, $10.50.
$40, whatever.
$21 plus the 16.
Yeah.
And then I had another box of ammo. So I went through, say, 3.5 boxes, whatever. So
you just spent $50.
That all adds up.
You just spent $50.
So
just it's rough numbers. You just spent $50 to go shoot for an hour.
For an hour. So because I shot 167 rounds, and I kept some so that I could load, so nobody broke in and have an empty gun going, damn, I'm waiting for whatever, waiting for more ammo.
I called in an airdrop.
That's right. Or like that guy at work used to say, that guy Eric Bledden, who's an idiot. He would be like,
no last names.
Too late. He's an idiot, so it's okay to say that. But
he would. Is that slander then, or is it libel?
If he comes, we'll just do another podcast next time, and I'll go, hey, Eric,
awesome.
Eric Bledden, I'm very sorry, you're awesome. There you go. I'll just edit that.
Put it in right now.
Yeah. So he was always telling me, like, I was like, well, I'm wondering what kind of, like, I always want a SIG, like, this was like a year ago or more, and he's like, well, what you want to do is you want to get the same kind of gun. Like, everybody has Glocks mostly. So what you want to do is have a gun like the Commander. Then if you're in a shootout, you can say, magazine! And he'll fucking pull out his mag and throw you one.
Yeah,
and you can fucking slam it in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's security? How many shootouts are you crouched behind a car? And
you're going to scream that, and they're going to be like, I don't I got the one that's in the gun. I'm not gonna. I'll throw you a bullet.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Do you want a bullet?
Yeah, these are mine. I'm protecting me and mine. I'm not gonna give you
this
my.
Isn't
I got
a John Woo movie.
Yeah. So I was like, I said okay, but it's like no, like you and I said, you're never gonna be in this big old fucking whatever. But so went to Shooter's World, spent that money, which was good for. The other thing was, so I'm there by myself shooting, and I had never been by myself shooting. So I'm there shooting, and I'm just kind of like, I wish I had somebody to talk to be like, look, here's
now
how
that's
I
the thing. Like,
held the
can
gun.
would you each have to get a lane, or could me and you go and just
No.
rent one lane?
You and I could, I think, rent one lane, but I think they charge us still per the thing, I believe, for the hour, but I'm not sure. Maybe not.
Right, that's what I
Maybe
mean. Is
not.
it one $16 thing, and we're each
no,
shooting,
I'm
or is it each person?
I'm thinking it's each person, but I'll have to look into it.
Okay.
But because I saw a video of like one guy was there with it, and they were sharing the gun and they were shooting. But it gets hot in there, so so I had read that like on Yelp or something, and I was like, it'll be because like what's funny with you and I is like you get down this rabbit hole, then I'm watching YouTube videos, then it takes me to Yelp somewhere, and then I'm looking at Yelp and I'm looking at pictures of what the lane looks like because I want to know what I'm
I want to know what I'm getting into.
And then there's videos of like one guy shooting and he's talking to his friend and then he's shooting, and it was like, okay. But one of the guys said, oh, there's air conditioned, but you can't feel it, and it just gets hot in there. And so I was like, it's just probably maybe just that
He's
time.
probably 400 pounds.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe it's just that guy. So I'm sitting there shooting, and I start getting like, I'm like, it's
but
like,
just think how hot you were in there if you were out in the desert.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It's still considerably more comfortable what you were doing, which would be nice. Plus, it's a controlled environment.
Yeah.
You know, all that kind of stuff.
And so that was good. And then you can do the thing that John Lovell guy, I didn't do it because I was shooting, but that John Lovell guy said what he does to the new people. I don't know if you watch that one. We talked about it. He'll give the lady the shotgun to shoot, and he'll take the little target and he'll push the button, and it's coming at her, and he's like, shoot it, and he's just holding the button, and then she'll shoot, and she forgets her racket, and she keeps clicking, and it's coming, and he goes, that's kind of the stress, not the same stress,
right?
But it's
giving you a taste of the stress.
So it's like, I like that you just clip it on there,
right?
And you run it out, and it's got things on the side where Danielle's like, how far away was that? I go, I think 7 feet. She's like, what? And I go, okay, wait, maybe it was in yards, and it was 7 yards and 10 yards that I did. So, because I was starting out. So I did 10 first, and then I brought it in. But it was fun, and, you know, and then when I was talking to McAfee, he was like, yeah, I just went shooting, and he goes, I wish I had somebody, like, I had nobody to talk to, so it was just like shooting, and I go, yeah, I know. I was sitting there shooting going, did I make a mistake of buying a gun? Because I got nobody to talk to. Like, this is fun, but, so.
Well, I went into Shooter's World the one time. I forgot why I was there. But some guy was shooting. You could hear the people when they're shooting everything.
Yeah.
And it was just like, bam, 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 just like rapid fire.
Yeah.
And the guys behind the counter were just fucking rolling their eyes at it like, what are you fucking doing? Like, you sound like an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, oh my God, that's funny.
Well, and that's.
And like, go out to the desert for that then.
Yeah.
Or something. Or whatever. You do what you want, but it's just, it's.
Well, and that was funny because I was seeing a thing of, like on there it says no rapid fire. Like you have to just, but then there were people in there like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, okay. But I'm just like, boom. No, okay. And then I'm readjusting and everything. And so it was fun. But yeah, and then so when I went in there, the guy's like, I go, where do I get the headphones and the eye? And he's like, over there. And I go, okay. And then when I came out, I'm like, okay, do these go somewhere? Do they need to be washed or what? And he goes, over there in the bucket. I was like, okay. So there's a bucket of used, and then there's one of hanging up. So I really like the big,
I have
the big
a couple
headphones.
pairs of those.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm like, great. I'm going to use those, all the time. Either buy my own or just have those. And then they tell you put those on and wear them before you even go in. Like you got to put your eyes and ears on. Then you hit the door. So that was the other thing. You hit the door. Then I go to the second door, and I'm pushing it, and it's not working. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I must be an idiot. And then if you read, it says wait till the other door closes for the sound and everything. Then you open it. Then that door opens. So then I went on in, and then I was there by myself. And so I was like, cool. And then some other guys started showing up. But the thing that I have to ask next time is I left, and there's a bunch of brass on the floor that I just left there. So I'm like, and there was a broom in the other section of, all the thing. And I'm like, was I supposed to sweep that out to the thing? But I never asked, and they never said anything, but I'll ask next time. And then McAfee said with this ammo that we bought, the reason why it's cheap or whatever is because it's not brass or whatever. It's aluminum or whatever.
Casing, metal casings.
Yeah. So
There's
he's
some
like,
places that won't let you
he's
shoot.
like, so you can't reload them,
right.
but they're, but that's what they got.
Well,
And
and
I'm
too,
like, oh, okay.
I was on Shooters World site, like to shoot that AR, and you can't have steel core rounds or whatever because it would go into, it would
because they have like
they have
a black like sand or whatever in the back, so it all goes into that.
Right.
But no, it was fun.
So yeah, but like the story, like when I first went shooting with you, and you told me you got the gun.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I always grew up in an anti-gun family. My mom was just totally against guns. She's like, "There's no way you're not gonna have a gun in this house. No, what do you need a gun for?" So I was always like, "Yeah, you're a fucking pussy if you have a gun. What do you have?" And then we went out to the desert, and I was like, "Fucking, this is stupid. Whatever." And first time I shot, I was just like, "Oh my god, where have you been all my life? This is so much fun." And it was fun. But, so my story was SIG. Like I bought the MCX rifle, and they had a recall on it because the recoil assembly, the bolt carrier group assembly thing with the springs, they had in internal testing, they had one that misfired, or it I forgot what they call it, but where it fired when it shouldn't have. So they recalled it. They recalled the whole thing. So if you get this, you have to send it in. They send you a new redesigned one with a $50 voucher. Well, their shipping time sucks. I don't think it's them. It's that they use FedEx, and then FedEx sends it to the post office, so then the post office delivers it or whatever.
Yeah. And is that going to their main?
Both.
Their main SIG place?
Yeah.
Okay.
In New Hampshire. So I get the gun home, pull the bolt out, and it's part of the old one, so it needs to have the thing. So I don't even take it out and shoot it. I just call him. The guy's like, "Great," sends me the box. Takes like a week for me to get the box. So then I box it up and all this stuff, and like I had asked him at the time when I called him, like, "Hey, I see you guys have this new redesigned trigger, because like the trigger that's in it isn't good. Everybody says," and I'm like, "Whatever," but this redesigned trigger, and the guy's like, "Yeah, if you want that," he's like, "I'll give you a discount on it." And I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "Can I use?" Because I was like, "Could I use that $50 coupon on that if I order it now?" Because he's like, because it was on back order, and he's like, "Well, I can order it now for you, and then when it comes in, you'll get it. You don't have to wait for it to say available on the website." I'm like, "Can I use the $50 coupon?" He's like, "No." He's like, "But I'll give you a discount on it anyway." So I got $30 off.
Cool.
So I was like, "Cool." So I sent in the thing. They still haven't received my bolt that I returned.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's still the last time.
And that was like almost 2 weeks ago, right? A week and a half?
It would have been, I shipped it out on June 24th, or on July 24th.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
And so like the last place that it showed was that it was in Massachusetts, and it just says pending. It was supposed to be delivered on last Monday, but now it just says pending.
Ugh.
And I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
So I called them on Friday and was just like, "Hey," I'm like, "I sent you this thing. It was supposed to have been delivered on Monday, and it's still not." And the guy's like, "Oh," and he pulls up the thing and blah, blah, and he's like, "Do you have the tracking number?" I was like, "Yeah, here." And I give him the tracking number. He looks it up, and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "It just says pending. It just says that it's, there in this." I go, "Yeah, but that's the thing, is that hasn't changed in days now."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh." So I'm like, "I don't know." He goes, "Well, tell you what," he goes, "we can definitely see that you sent it and that it's on its way to us. So I'll mark your thing as completed. And as soon as they get another bolt in stock," he's like, they're not in stock right now. They're, having them made and everything because everything that's going on.
Yeah.
It'll come out to you. I'm like, "How long a wait is it?" He's like, "It's probably like a week, and then it'll come out to you." I was like, "Okay, cool." Because like I said, I checked it again today, and it still shows that it's just in Massachusetts. And I'm like, "That's great." You know what I mean? Like, they're just like, "Hey, we can see that it's on its way. We can see that, that you shipped it, you sent it to us. So I'm just going to mark it completed, that we received it and checked it in, and get yours on its way back to you."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Sweet, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that." And I was just like, that's great. I think that's, you know what I mean? That's, I was very, like, for me with that,
Yeah.
and as long as it actually happens, I will I will do more business with SIG because of that, because I think that's awesome.
Yeah, well, and especially with you working in customer service, then that means even more to you than, than that.
Like I said, and I put that caveat there, if it really happens. If he really, sends it out, if I get that notice in a week that, it's on its way, then great.
Something on that podcast called Cashing In with TJ Miller that I told you about. On there, they were saying one of their ideas, it was like practical living in the modern age is one of their segments. And he goes, what about pre-tipping? So he said, if somebody's like real good, then they're like, here's your tip. And they just give it to the person. And they go, and that changes everything because now the guy is attentive, helping out and everything.
He's like, shit, I have to earn this money now.
But like I asked Danielle, we were over at, I don't know if you ever been to Twin Peaks. No, you haven't. You don't drink. Twin Peaks. But they got, it's kind of like Tilted Kilt and stuff where they got these girls like in kind of lumberjack shirts. Okay. And then they're tied up, and then they got tight shorts on and all this stuff. And their boobs are hanging out. And they got big fake eyelashes. I go, why do they need the fake eyelashes? I don't like that. Anyway. So
it's not all about you, Philip.
I know, but Danielle's like, people wear a fake eye. I go, I know, but like everybody's wear. Like some girls should just not wear them. Like just do the makeup and you're fine. Anyway, and so what was my point? So I said, what do you think about pre-tipping, honey? Like, and she was like, no, because then they got their money and they could just be like, fuck you, like
fuck you, I don't care. I already got
it.
I
was like, exactly.
Unless you make it real uncomfortable, like, give me $5 of that tip back because you sucked.
Well, or there was a thing on Third Rock from the Sun where he had, they were aliens who came here, and so he didn't know tipping. He had heard about it, so he had a stack of $1 bills. And whenever the person would do something wrong, he'd take $1 off of the stack. And the guy go, what? And he'd take another, and he just did it that way. And I was like, oh,
that's funny. Like, here's your potential tip.
Yeah, exactly. Every time you do something wrong. But yeah. So yeah, SIG, and then I've been on YouTube like watching all these different SIG videos.
Just great customer service. Like I said, the guy gave me a discount on the trigger. With that bolt group, like you couldn't just, before it was a standard AR, so you could put standard AR triggers into it, but apparently now, since they redesigned the bolt on it, it doesn't function the exact same. It's more with the MPX, the pistol, the smaller one, that it's different, that its cyclic rate is so fast that it can wear it out, so mine would have probably been fine if I would have just got a Geisley or something like that, but I was like, no, I want this trigger. This is the trigger that they're selling that's redesigned for this gun and everything. Yeah. So, like, great. I called up Legendary and was like, hey, what would you guys, can you put this in? And they're like, yeah, the guy's familiar with, doing AR triggers and stuff like that. He can do it. So I was like, sweet, I'll bring it in on Friday, and just get it done. And even when the guys put it in, he was like, I was like, there's no bolt in this. It's like, yeah, I told you that I sent it in. He's like, oh, yeah, no. But it was cool just talking with them. And, like, the guy, when he saw it, he's like, oh, he's like, I love that gun. He's like, just the grade. I love how it folds off to the side, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I was like, yeah, have you shot it? And we were just, well, shooting the shit. It was just, I felt like, oh, wow, look, I feel included.
Yeah. Well, and like we said, like when I went to Shooter's World, I told the guy, I go, now look, I said, I saw something on YouTube. I said, I know this may be a stupid question. I said, I think it's in Utah or something. I said, they rent the Glock 18. I go, do you guys rent the Glock 18? He goes, no, we don't. And he goes, and then I was like, I didn't think you did, but they had it. And I was like, whoa, really? And he's like, yeah, we don't. And then he's like, but you can get that, like something about like the tax stamp like you would do for the suppressor. He's like, you can get that. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, like something like, I don't know, but like
you have to like
something.
You can get a fully automatic gun.
Yeah.
You can. Yeah. It just has to be pre-banned before '86.
Yeah.
Plus, there's different things. Like if you are a gun dealer, then you can get those things that attach to them and stuff like that to make them, shoot or whatever. I don't know, whatever.
But
I have a feeling that suppressors will be legalized within the next couple of years.
Well,
because of the stuff with Trump and the Hearing Protection Act, and like they're really pushing with. That it's an accessory. You have to go through 10 times more stuff to get an accessory for a gun when it's not even a gun.
Yeah.
They're like, that's ridiculous. But it's like even Legendaries. Legendaries has a whole display set up of it. And this one podcast or this one YouTube video, they're talking about showing that that Ruger has that 1022 takedown where you take the barrel off and it comes off separately. They have a separate integral suppressed barrel that you can get, where the barrel itself, so it's no longer, it doesn't stick out any farther or anything like that. The barrel itself is suppressed.
Yeah.
And you can buy just that for the takedown model. So you just put it on there, quarter twisted into place, and boom, and it's suppressed.
Yeah.
Plus, Smith & Wesson just bought Gemtech, which has been one of the major suppressor makers for years and years. And they're like, do they know something that we don't?
Right.
You know, like this stuff, like Ruger making this barrel and making it very reasonably priced for people to be able to get.
Yeah.
Smith & Wesson buying Gemtechs, you know, stuff like that. They're like, do these companies know something that we don't? They're like, you know, it's very much, they're very much pushing for this to be a reality. Yeah. But, you know, and it's almost like, wow, why would this gun store put this much money? Like, they seriously had like probably a good 20 suppressors out on you know, display. You can't just go in there and buy that and walk out the door.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to buy it, then do all the paperwork. You don't even get to take that thing home for 6 months to a year.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Well, and the same thing with that. So I'm talking to the guy about that, and I go, yeah, my friend wants to do the suppressor thing and do the tax thing. And he's like, he goes, we're the only country that has that. Everywhere else you can just get a suppressor. And I'm like, whoa, that's scary. And what I meant was scary that in France, you just grab a suppressor and go kill people as an assassin. That's how I'm thinking because of the movie. And and I said, that's scary. And he thought I meant more like why it's scary about the United States. Yeah. I meant it's scary that.
But yeah, then that hit it off for him, and he was probably like, "Yeah, it is. That's ridiculous."
He's like, "Well, he goes, it's not that bad." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I'm thinking, what did he mean by that? You know, but no.
But see, that's the thing too, and it's like suppressors don't make things that quiet.
Yeah,
like, it makes it quiet enough to where you don't have to have hearing protection. Yeah. But you're not fooling anybody.
Did you see the?
You know, you're still hearing the fucking sound.
Exactly.
You're still creating all the fucking smoke. There's still, you know, you shoot a suppressed gun. It's not.
Yeah, it's not like in the movies.
It is not in the movies.
Did you see the Hickok 45 where he did the STP, the oil filter?
Yeah.
And but you got to buy the tax stamp to get that little thing. But I was like, Sean could get that because it screws right in. But it was just funny. But it worked. And then what else? Oh, so speaking of guns, I guess now we'll talk about North Korea.
Oh yeah, North Korea.
What are you
we're going to war?
What do you got? Yeah. You think?
I have a feeling something will happen. Yes, and it's not. Well, we'll know for sure by the next podcast because it sounds like and the one thing that I heard, you know, they were saying that we're threatening Guam, and all this stuff, and they're like. The news stations there like to sensationalize things, and they're like, apparently when the brother was killed, they said that he was killed by attacking dogs or something like that, or it was an assassination, but he really just was attacked by dogs or something. I don't know what it was.
Right.
It was something more sensationalized with the way they said it. But just now when I was on my way up here, they were talking, they said that they're big on dates. Like the North Koreans are big on dates,
like dating, like
you
like
Tinder.
Going to the prom,
like
some
Tinder.
Dude. Yeah,
they swipe left a lot.
That's right.
I don't even know if that's the right direction to swipe.
I think you're right,
but right or left?
I think it's left, but it might be right. I don't know. Anyway,
but I'm right.
Yeah.
I'm
that's
right.
what
So
I meant. You're right that it's left.
Gotcha.
Not
okay.
you should leave because it's right. Right.
Yes,
I got it.
So the 15th is a big day for them. Something, and if it's not the 15th, it'll be the 21st, because the 21st is when we start war games or something with South Korea, and they think that, you know, the Kim Jong-un will think that that's provoking him or something like that. So it sounds like it'll be either this week or the first part of next week that something happens, if it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But they're like, it sounds to me like with the position that Trump's at, where he's like, he's not going to back down. They're like, and the North Koreans will not back down. They're like, they've never backed down. They've never stepped down to anything, and that's very prideful regime, you know, all this stuff that like it's not going to.
It's going to end up being like the Cuban Missile Crisis, where it's going to be tense, you know, until we figure something out. But something that was interesting for me. So first of all, I was like, Sean wants to talk about North Korea. I don't really. Well, there's no funny in that. Yeah. No, I know. But I was like, and then I go, maybe I won't look anything up. I'll just let Sean tell me everything, and then I'll make jokes. And then I said, no, I'll look something up. So today, when I got home, I like this show on HBO called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. So he did one. It was like a 30-minute video on North Korea. And what was interesting, so before I was like, North Korea, like, what can they do? Like, they're a little country. We're a big power, like nothing. But I learned that they have the 4th largest military, that they have, the money that they have to spend is the money that Birmingham, Alabama has. So, like, but they have this large thing. The other thing that was a big thing that hit me was he said what Kim Jong-un is afraid of. And it's not just this guy. You know, everybody thinks, he said, John Oliver said, people go up to him and go, oh, what about that? And it's like, I have writers, just like Jon Stewart has writers. Like, it's not all him. But he said that Kim Jong-un is afraid of what happened to Gaddafi and what happened to Saddam Hussein, which was as soon as he released his military power, then all of a sudden they just overtook him and nothing. And they said, they said
that family is very afraid of being taken out of power. That's like a major thing for the UNs or whatever, you know.
And they said, if we just killed Kim Jong-un, now you have a vacuum of no leadership.
Power, right.
And you saw what happened with Afghanistan and Iraq and Saudi Arabia, where you need somebody there in power. And if you don't place that in, then you're screwed. And then the other thing was they have 15 nuclear missiles. And on there they played a video where the guy was like, well, they have this and this. And he ended with, and 15, nukes. 15 nukes. And he was like, that's like, could you watch Jimmy? Jimmy needs he's allergic to peanuts, da-da-da. Oh, and he has 15 nukes in his bedroom. Like, and that's right. While you're walking out the door, you say that. So it's like, and the other thing that I was thinking about, because they were saying, like, all he sees is Donald Trump saying this stuff. And the thing is, just like you and I talked about on the last one we did about that Australian show, like, different cultures are different ways. And so we all know that Donald Trump and that Americans sometimes just say shit. And like when the news came out, and I couldn't believe that they even said, like, Donald Trump just said that, like, off the cuff. Like, he was just saying fire and fury.
Well, he's got a report
and of course
on
you could tell. Well, and of course you could tell when he's sitting there saying it.
Right.
He just thought of those two words together and said it, and it sounds cool, and he says it. But
they've come back now and been like, even the guy who's the secretary of staff or the chief of staff now, who's that general guy, is like, if this goes down, if they, shoot anything towards Guam, towards us, anything that could be taken as directed towards us, it will be
it's an act
big
of war,
kind of however he put it, obviously sounded more eloquent than what I'm saying, but it's not going to be taken like, oh, look at these. No, we're gonna wipe them off the map.
No, exactly. And that was my thing at first when Joe and I talked about it. I was like, they keep shooting missiles, like they're just trying to be like, look at our dicks, like it's no big deal. But this thing with Donald Trump is,
and this thing with Guam, if they attack, like, and it sounds to me like they're like, okay, you guys can test missiles, you can do that. But the first time, and they're talking about, like, launching towards Guam and exploding them offshore or something like that. But they're like, no, if you do that, we will take that as a sign of aggression that you're shooting a missile towards a U.S. property, or whatever. And so you can shoot missiles into your own area if you want to and play around with your Legos. But you start, putting your Legos in our Lego bucket. Yeah. We're going to fucking kick your Lego bucket over.
Exactly. But my thing on the culture is, like, we all look at Trump and go, oh my God. Like, I was seeing a thing that they were showing on the old, not the old, but Bush Jr. I was watching him, and it was like, wow, he's so much. Even though he was an idiot and he would speak natural and just talk like whatever, and Donald Trump tries to do that but can't do it as well. But you watch him and you almost hope for you're like, I want those days back. But with Donald Trump, though, of us all going, wow, what is he saying? He just says things, he tweets. But for Korea to go, we've heard that, like this North Korean girl, she is now out, and she said in school we learned how many, if you had 4 American evil bastards in a room and you killed 2 evil American bastards, how many evil American bastards are left? She goes, that's stuff that we're taught. Like, that's the words that they say. God. And it's like, holy shit. And then they talked about, they have a thing when you go through North Korea, they have like this thing of like war, like from the Korean War. And they're like, and there's an army guy, an American army guy with his gun on this woman. She's on her knees. And, it's a life-size whatever. Yeah. And then they're like, and then what they did was cut her and drank her blood, like sucked her blood. And then they cut off her thigh skin and they cooked it and ate it. And it's like, holy shit. Like, so when they're talking like that about us, and that's all they have to know us from, unless they get the smuggled in USB drives of NCIS, which,
or the
which Jamie Oliver.
The soap operas are fucking really big there too. Like they're really into fucking like American soap operas and shit.
And John Oliver's like, you can send them anything, and you send them NCIS. Like, nobody watches that, but your grandma and her friends, and or your mom and her friends. So there's that. So yeah, it is. When you look at that, if you don't know their thing and they're locked in and they know nothing about America, all of a sudden they're all told this. So it could be, heavy duty. So like before, I think I was just sticking my head in the sand. It was like, whatever. And then you were like, watch something. And then I watched a 30-minute video and I'm like, holy shit. Like, we need to sit down and talk. Like, send Dennis Rodman back over there. But it was, but there's a song that I'm going to play at the end of this that Weird Al Yankovic did, telling North Korea that we're not that bad. So it's pretty funny.
That's funny.
Because over there, big thing is accordions.
Oh, really?
And so he's like sometimes they learn it in school, and they showed video of like even the military, like the Air Force, like they were panning across, and there was one Air Force pilot with an accordion.
Wow.
And he was like, nobody plays the accordion unless you're Weird Al, and then he named somebody else. Then at the end, he's like, okay, let me talk to you directly, North Korea. And then he says something to North Korea, and then he's like, and now, because you love accordions, here's Weird Al. And then they raise up the screen, and Weird Al's it's all American flag stuff, and he's singing, please don't bomb us. So it's great. So I'll play that at the end.
Yeah, that's funny.
So now, it's crazy. We'll check in.
We'll have
later.
to see what happens. Yeah.
So now this last podcast on the left that I've talked about.
Time to get into it, do we?
Okay, then. Well, we're at an hour and 2 minutes. It depends on how much time you have. I can cut it in 2. We could have a 2-parter.
No, I got a meeting that I have to go to.
Then, I have
to stay sober.
Okay, I know. I'm proud of that. Well, then next time, when Sean and I get together, we're going to talk about.
Let's just say, I'll say this on it,
first of all, so it's
last podcast on the left. For one, I'm a fucking idiot, and when they were talking about their Casper bed and stuff like that, and they're like, use code LEFT. I'm like, last house on the left. I'm like,
that doesn't.
LH. I'm like, LHH.
Yeah.
Last house LHO. LEF. I'm like, huh? And I'm like, oh, he's spelling left.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
I think I did that a little bit at first. I was like, oh, they're doing.
I was thinking it was the acronym for last house
I was
on
thinking
the left,
LP, but and then I'm like, no, it's just the last word left.
left.
Oh, okay. But yeah.
Are all their podcasts like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was expecting it like Sword and Scale. You had first told me about it when we were talking about Sword and Scale.
Yeah.
So I was expecting it to be
kind of
very serious,
cutting to right.
like a serious. And at first, when I was listening to it, I'm like, this isn't fucking. I'm like, I'm not learning anything from this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is, I'm like, I couldn't. And then like when I got past, I kept listening, and I'm like, that's good. I like what they're doing, but it wasn't what I was expecting.
Right.
Rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, when I got into the second one, I'm listening to it, and I'm like, God, I'm fucking laughing.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you talking about, sir? I got linen lung. I
gotta do the rugs. I gotta clean the rags.
When the fucking coal factory closed down, and now it's the brick factory, they really get them all dirty.
Yeah.
And I'm like fucking dying laughing. Sandy and the dogs are looking at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I can't listen to this at night because I'd fucking be laughing on it. I wouldn't just be able to fall off to sleep to it because I'd be fucking laughing.
Well, and that's what I was worried. So it's called The Infield Poltergeist. We won't get into it. We'll get into that later. But about the podcast, so that's what I like, is like you've noticed how I told you the one guy, Ben Kissel, who kind of runs the show, but he's the guy who kind of knows a little bit about it, but not much.
And
then
like the one
Marcus
guy
Parks
was very
guy.
into paranormal stuff. Like he wants to have a paranormal experience. Like he was talking about, like, my wife was gone, so I drank a bottle of Jack Daniels and most of a bottle of wine, and just sat there and stared up at the sky.
Yeah.
Because they said that, like, the commonality said the people are fucked up when something happens. Well, and I'm like, oh my God.
And that guy I like. His name's Greg. What's his name? Ben Kissel, Marcus Parks, and anyway, that guy does all the voices.
Okay.
But he also does the research, and the other guy does the research. So Marcus then will read it serious, as you could tell. Then the other guy, and then he'll
just
go,
when he put
and
those,
he found a letter,
put
and
those
then he
voices in there and then stuff like that. Oh my God, I was fucking busted up
He'll
laughing.
read the voices as normal.
Uh-huh.
Like say there's a Jack the Ripper letter, he'll read the letter, and then at the end he'll be, so go fuck yourself, and then they're like, what? And he's like, but it'll be in that same accent. But he had one of, and we talked about it before, and I was like, there's that guy Carl Panzram, and I was like, but I haven't listened to it yet, because I said I saw the movie, and then you and I were both like, that was called Bronson. That was about a guy named Bronson, not Carl Panzram.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So I listened to that Carl Panzram.
And it's not about Charles Bronson, the U.S. actor.
Right. And so then I listened to, but I'm addicted to these guys. I fucking, on Thursday, they were supposed to put out a new show. And I'm fucking searching my podcast feed. Like, where is it? Like, I want,
go into their fucking Twitter
the
and see
Infield
what's going on.
Poltergeist is already done. Like, I want a new one. But I went back and I've listened to the Oklahoma City bombing one, which I thought, oh, it's going to be boring, but it's really cool. Like, stuff that you don't know.
Well, just the way they put it was, and it's like, I don't know, I had never known that story or heard that story, and it's like, so much of me didn't want to believe it. So much of me doesn't want to believe in any of that paranormal activity stuff, and it's just like, no, there's got to be an explanation for it. And then it was in the 70s, 77, 78 or whatever the year was, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. I'm like. And like the guy was saying, he's like, you project, your mind projects the stuff and it creates it around you, blah, 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 whatever. But it was just like these guys they said that so much had happened and so many different people
the
said
neighbors
this stuff.
and
like these experts would come in for a day and say, no, it's a fake, it's the girls. But they're like, no 12-year-old girl is going to keep this up for 19 fucking months.
Did you like the magician that was just like standing on the stairs, like waiting for the girl?
Hello, governor. What are you doing?
and then like throwing a smoke bomb and running away.
He doesn't know how to answer a question, so he
interact with little
So he
girls.
made a flash, and they're like, "What's a flash?" He's like, "It's a magician thing. It's a magician thing. A flash of light. A flash of light. I made a flash of light, and she ran away."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Huh?" And like. Yeah. So yeah.
But yeah, that was the thing where, and we'll get into later. I mean, we're kind of touching on it now, but I had a thing where I thought that I saw
we could do a
somebody
whole.
one time,
I want to do a whole hour on that. We'll in 2 weeks. I'll come back and we'll do a whole
because
episode
also
on
I
that.
watched a YouTube video of
let's
interviewing
play
those
it.
girls.
Let's play it and then do our reactions to
Yeah.
talking about it.
Okay.
We could do like a director's cut.
Like a commentary.
Yeah, an audio commentary of their fucking audio commentary.
But
it was funny.
So those guys are just great. So, like, if you do like that, like now I went back and I listened to Carl Panzram. I listened to, there was that wrestler, Chris Benoit, and he killed his wife and his child, I think. So there's that one. That's a good one. That's just a one-parter. I listened to Jack the Ripper, was like a 3 or 4-parter.
Wow.
Like, that was really cool. Like, so, like, all of them are good, and I like the way that works where and the good one I liked was Scientology one. That was like 4 or 5-parter, and that was really good.
Oh, I'll have to go back and listen to that because I started seeing the Joe Rogan things. Like, it just popped up on my YouTube feed, and it was about Scientology. And for one, that fucking Leah Remini or whatever, she looks like somebody hit her in the face with a fucking 2x4.
That plastic surgery. But yeah, that was a good podcast. So with her on it, talking about the Scientology shit. If you want,
I just saw the video on YouTube where the clip of it, and then there was another one that popped up where it was the guy who's the Grand Poobah of Scientology. His dad was on the show, and about how his dad got out of Scientology, and they fucking had him followed and all this stuff. And I was just
she tells like story, like a whole bunch of stuff. Like she was,
I'm writing you up for.
She tried to complain about tried to complain about Tom Cruise, and then they were like, "Do you love Tom Cruise? Is that why you're telling that he shouldn't be jumping on a couch?" And she's like, "No, because if he's leading this certain life in Scientology, I was always taught to be cool and be calm, and here he is jumping around, so I'm writing him up." And then she's like, "Okay, never mind, I was wrong." And then they're still like, "Well, we think, and then
but
all eyes
people
are on her."
Like she said Zoltan or something like that, and private company, and the person was like, "You can't say that. You can't ever say that. You can't ever say that name. I have to write you up."
She said the name of whatever the big being that
Zartan from G.I. Joe or whatever, the fucking shapeshifter guy.
Like I said, the L. Ron Hubbard Zartan's badass.
Yeah. Other than when, like, the action figure, you'd lick him and he tasted real funny. I'll probably get cancer from that now. Why I licked my action figures, I don't know. That probably just one of those things where I was holding him and putting him in my mouth. It was like, why does his chest that changed color taste so funny in my mouth? Chemical reaction. I'm sure it wasn't good for you.
First of all, I don't know anybody who would lick an action figure like that. So what made you lick Zartan? Second of all,
no, I just explained it. If you'd listen, I said I think that I probably needed to, like, my hands are full, so I put Zartan in my mouth, and then was like, what the fuck? And then of course after you taste it the first time, you're like, yeah, it's weird. Here, lick this. Tell me if it tastes weird. And it does. It fucking made a weird tingly feeling.
Because now also we're at the end of the show, but I almost just want to name the show "Licking Zartan." Like, like,
go for it.
But I'll put that at the end. It'll be
clickbait. Licking Zartan.
But all right. At the end of this, I'm going to add that song. So thank you for listening. I'm Philip, and
I'm Sean.
There you go. He's still Sean.
We'll be back in 2 weeks to have our Enfield Poltergeist.
That's right.
Kazoon tight.
That's right.
Hi, North Korea. You may be hearing some frightening rhetoric from our president, but if it helps at all, when our president says words, he doesn't necessarily mean what those words mean. It's very difficult to describe to you. We're still trying to wrap our heads around it ourselves. Really, it's our problem, except it is now kind of your problem too. But I want to talk to you about some misconceptions, because we certainly have misconceptions about you, but you should know, ideally, that we are not remotely what your state propaganda implies either. We honestly do not spend our days plotting your destruction. We spend them sharing cat memes and spinning fidgei and getting furiously angry about a singing boy barely appearing in our favourite dragon show. So, for what it's worth, I would like to give you, the North Korean people, a sense of how America is feeling right now in a way that you might understand and enjoy. And that is through the international language of the accordion. And I have some good news and some bad news there. The bad news is I do not play the accordion. The good news is I know someone who plays it like a fucking angel. Ladies and gentlemen, and the people of North Korea, please welcome Mr. Weird Al Yankovic.
Such an antisocial thing to do. You've got us crapping our collective pants. May I suggest you take it down a notch or two? We're not exactly sure why you're upset. Did that Seth Rogen
It's just to find a